Good afternoon, class. It's Serge Capistrano again, and welcome back to another discussion here in Chem 21 Organic Chemistry. Wherein for today we will be talking about carbonyl compounds, or specifically aldehydes and ketones. So, by carbonyl compounds, these are actually organic compounds wherein the carbonyl group consists of a carbonyl oxygen linked by a double bond to carbonyl atom. So basically, when we talk about carbonyl group or what we call carbonyl atom, it is simply an organic compound bearing a carbon. We just change the color of the pen. So we have here a carbon, wherein that carbon has a double bond to our oxygen, and we will be having two what we call here groups that are attached to the carbonyl group. So by carbonyl group, this will be our carbonyl carbon. This is our carbonyl carbonyl carbon atom, and this will be our carbonyl oxygen. And for aldehydes and ketones, both of these functional groups, the aldehydes and ketones, has this what we call carbonyl group. But carbonyl group or carbonyl this carbonyl oxygen and carbonyl carbon are actually not limited to our aldehydes and ketones. We also have our carboxyl groups, wherein for carboxyl groups we have their carbonyl group, and one of the sides of our carbon atom is replaced by oxygen instead of a hydrogen or an R group. So basically, for this lecture, we'll be focusing more on the aldehydes and ketones. And by focusing on those carbonyl compounds, we will only be talking about nomenclature, because as I have noticed in your midterms exam, you have difficulties in naming our organic compounds. Okay, so in that, let's talk about the general structure and the general formula of our aldehydes and ketones, which are the classes of our organic compounds containing the carbonyl group. So for the general structure, we have these structures wherein for the aldehyde, unahin natin yung aldehyde, we have here our aldehyde, and this side will be for our ketone. So for our aldehyde, the general structure will be, we will be having here a carbon atom. We have here our carbonyl group that is double bonded to our oxygen. And on one of the side of this carbonyl carbon, we have here hydrogen. And on the one side, we will have here an R group. So that is the general structure of our aldehyde. So for the ketone, halos parehas lang naman yung itsura nila. So we will have here our carbonyl carbon atom, and we will have here our carbonyl oxygen. And on both sides of our carbonyl carbon, we will have here two R groups. So hindi kailangan na parehas yung R groups na attached dun sa ating magkabilang side. And for the general formula for the aldehydes, the general formula for our aldehyde will be our RCOH, where that COH actually corresponds to our aldehyde group. Okay? And for the ketones, our general formula will be our RCO, and we have here another R group. Okay? Wherein those R group can be an alkyl or an aryl group. So those are our aldehydes and bearing their general structure and general formula. Right? So like I said earlier, we will be focusing more on the nomenclature of aldehydes and ketones for this video. So let's start on the nomenclature of carbonyl compounds. So first things first, we have here our nomenclature of aldehydes, wherein we will be talking about the common names. So, by the common names of aldehyde, it is simply done by replacing the IC common in the common name of our corresponding carboxylic acid with the word aldehyde. But as of this point, we have yet to talk about our carboxylic acids. So medyo magiging mahirap yung pag-name natin ng aldehydes when we talk about their common name. So here are some representatives of our aldehydes. So we have here our formaldehyde. So that is just formic acid. Pinalitan natin yung OH ng H. So we have here our formaldehyde. Then we have here our acetaldehyde or what we call acetylic acid. Pinalitan lang natin ulit yung OH ng hydrogen kaya siya naging aldehyde. And we have here our propion aldehyde, propionaldehyde. We have here butyraldehyde. We have isobutyraldehyde and so on and so forth. Okay? So basically, mas magiging mahirap ang common names ng aldehydes kasi it has more memorization, more on memorization yung mangyayari when we talk about common names. So for the IUPAC name, ito yung medyo mas madali na portion ng pagpapangalan ng aldehydes natin. Kasi by pagpapangalan, if you already mastered how to name our alkanes, alkynes, and alkenes, and other functional groups, magiging madali na lang to. So, simply, ito lang yung mga rules on naming our aldehydes. So, to be exact, we can name the parent chain by identifying the corresponding alkane and replace the E ending with al. So basically, for example, I have here this compound where you have there your parent chain. Then we have here our double bond to oxygen. So basically, we have here a C that is bonded to our hydrogen. And as you may notice, this is actually an aldehyde. So paano natin to papangalanan? So ang gagawin lang natin, we just need to count the position numbers. Kasi pwede namang hindi na natin ilagay mismo yung position number kasi laging nasa terminal yung ating carbonyl atom for our aldehyde. So, saka na lang tayo magkakaroon ng positioning number kapag meron na tayong substituents. And if we say substituent, let's say we have here a methyl group here. So, paano natin ito papangalanan? So, basically, we just need to locate the parent chain. So, by locating the parent chain, we just need to look for the chain na pinakamahaba that contains our carbonyl carbon. So basically that will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, or that can be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So mas mahaba yung 6, so we'll be using 6. So that will be hexane. Okay, bakit hexane? Kasi hex, 6. 6 carbons, so ane. Then we have here our methyl. Basically, we need to mention that substituent. So we just need to count. So that will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So basically, our metal is located at the fourth carbon atom of our parent chain. So that will be 4 methyl. And sabi natin kanina, hexane. So that will be hexane. Teka lang, hindi nga pala to basta hexane lang. As you may have remembered, we have here a carbonyl group. So we just need to drop that E, remove that E, and replace it with al. So we will have here 4-methyl hexanal. So bakit hindi ko na inilagay yung position number ng ating al? Because as I have mentioned earlier, our carbonyl group for aldehyde is always positioned at position 1, so you don't have to mention it. Okay? Not unlike our ketone later on. So Substituents are still mentioned in alphabetical order that will serve as the prefix for the name of the compound. So basically, kapag meron ka pang isa pang substituent dyan, magbabago na yung arrangement. So, for example, and in case that there are other functional groups, by functional groups, hindi lang aldehyde yung nasa compound natin, meron tayong OH or yung ating ether group, meron tayong OR yung ating alkoxide, and also our X or yung ating mga halogens, mas papaboran natin yung pagpapangalan ng al kaysa sa ol, kaysa sa oxo, kaysa sa ating yung chloro or benzene. Okay? So that is our the naming for the IUPAC. So another example. So nabanggit kanina yung regarding dun sa paano kung mayroong ibang functional group. So, anong gagawin natin? So, for example, I have here this 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So, we have here a cyclic analog. And that cyclic analog, ay, hindi nga pala pwede. Cyclic analog dito. Erase. Pwedeng 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then, we have here this carbonyl, so that is an aldehyde. Say we have here chlorine, and we have here a methyl. So, paano natin papangalanan to lahat? So, utilize lang natin lahat ng rules. Oh, dagdag na natin tong isa pa. Sabi natin, in case of a carbon-to-carbon double bond. So, let's say, we have here a double bond here. So, paano na natin papangalanan ito? Same goes. Lagi pa rin yung ating carbonyl atom. Siya yung ating magiging first carbon. This will be second carbon, third, fourth, fifth, or either dun sa dalawa yung six. So this will be six. Okay? So we have two substituents. We have here a methyl substituent, and we have here a chlorine substituent. So paano na natin ito papangalanan? Sabi niya kanina, we need to arrange them in alphabetical order. And since magte-take ng precedence yung carbonyl dun sa ating X or yung tinatawag nating halogen, mas magiging aldehyde pa rin siya kesa sa alkyl halide. And since may double bond tayo, we need to include that double bond in our parent chain. So basically, we have here, ilista natin dito, we have a chloro, we have methyl, and our parent chain will be 1 to 6. So that will be hexane kung wala tayong double bond. So that will be, since yung double bond natin ay nasa 4, so we have there 4, we have here 4 hexene. Okay. So ngayon, paano na yung naming? So, tingnan natin mga position nila. Our chlorine is located at the third carbon, so we have here 3 chloro. Okay? And our methyl is located at our fifth carbon, so we have here 5 methyl. So, sabi niya, alphabetical order. Sa alphabet, anong mauuna? Yung C ba o yung M? So, since mauuna yung C kesa ron sa M, we will be mentioning chloro first. So, we will have here 3 chloro, 5 methyl, 4 hexene. So that will be the name of our organic compound. All right, so that will be our method for naming our aldehydes. Especially kapag meron tayong mga iba't ibang substituents na included. And kung nagpe-pay attention kayo, may mali tayong ginawa rin sa dulo. So instead of E or hexene, that should be an al. Okay? So for the full name of this compound, we have here 3-chloro, 5-methyl, 4-hexenal. Okay? In some in other references, pwede actually maging ma-breakdown pa yung hexenal. So instead na 4-hexenal lang yung nakalagay dyan, some may write that as instead of 5-methyl 4-hexenal, that will be 5-methyl hex 4 inal. Okay. So, yeah, sa ibang references, ganyan nila sinusulat yun. So, stick na lang tayo ron sa mga, dito sa mas madali, wherein we'll be mentioning the four before the name of the hexene or the double bond or the double bonded parent chain. Okay? So, that will be the IUPAC system of naming our aldehydes. So, again, kapag straight chain lang, we just need to replace the ending E with al. And for carbonyl groups, kailangan natin siyang include sa ating counting position number. And basically, we need to place our aldehydes as the first and we as the first position number. And all of the substituents must be in alphabetical order. And in case of other functional groups, aldehyde group takes precedence. And those functional groups are ether group, our OH or alcohol, we have our OR, alkoxide, and our halogens. Actually, included din yata dito ang ketones kung hindi ako nagkakamali. So kapag meron kang other ketone, ayun, medyo magiging magulo lang yung system natin. But in any case, and also in case of carbon to carbon double bond or triple bond, we must use the name of the alkene or the alkyne and just replace the E with al. Okay? So that is our nomenclature of aldehydes. And for the ketones, ito yung bin-breakdown ko yung IUPAC name. Pero start muna tayo sa ating common name. For naming our ketones using the common name, we just need to mention the alkyl groups attached to the carbonyl group in alphabetical order, then followed by the word ketone. So if alkyl groups are identical, we will be using the prefix di. So that is the system. So, paano nag-work yan? So, basically, sinasabi dito, yung carbonyl group natin actually, hindi siya included dun sa pagbibilang natin ng ating mga carbons sa ating ketones when we are using the common name. So, one example of ketone can be this one. So, we have an R group here bearing 2 carbon atoms and we have here an R group that has 1. So, basically, this is methyl, this is ethyl. So, we just need name them. So, ethyl methyl. Okay? Bakit ethyl methyl? Kasi mauuna ang E bago ang M. So, this will be our ethyl methyl ketone. Okay? So, that is the common name of that compound. And sabi niya dito, if the alkyl groups are identical, the prefix di is used. So, it just means that if you have this structure, then you have your carbonyl group here, meaning to say this is a ketone because you have R group on the left side of the carbonyl atom and another R group on the right side of the carbonyl atom. Meaning to say, we have here an ethyl, kasi bakit siya ethyl? Kasi 1, 2. And also we have here ethyl, 1, 2. Meaning to say, we have here ethyl, ethyl, ketone. Kung susundin natin yung first na rule. But since they are identical, we just name them diethyl ketone. Much like how we named our ether, wherein we can have here a diethyl ether and the like. But instead of oxygen, we have here a carbonyl group. Okay? And that carbonyl group Ulitin ko lang, kapag common name ang ginagamit natin, hindi included yung ating carbonyl atom sa pag-name ng ating ketone using the common name. And that is not true when we are using the IUPAC naming. So by IUPAC naming, we need to name the parent chain by identifying the corresponding alkane and replace that E ending with ONE or own. And by that, the number of carbon atoms in the chain such that the carbonyl groups gets the least possible position. So, dun sa example natin kanina, wherein we have here our ethyl methyl ketone, if we consider that as our ketone, this must be named using, magbibilang na tayo ng parent chain. And by parent chain, we have there 1, 2, 3, 4. So in here, the carbonyl group is actually mentioned or kumbaga included siya dun sa ating numbering. So for this one, this will be 4. Ang 4 natin ay butane. So we have here butane. And sabi niya, we just need to replace the E ending with "-one". So instead of butane, this will be our butanone. Okay? Then, we need to number the carbon atoms in the chain that the carbonyl carbon gets the least possible position. Kaya hindi ako nagsimula ng counting dito sa kabila. Okay? Dito sa 4, kasi dapat yung lowest possible yung mabigay natin dun sa ating carbonyl atom. Meaning to say, we will have here 2 butanone. Okay? So, hindi katulad ng aldehyde, na ang aldehyde ay laging nasa terminal part ng ating organic compound. Ang ketones natin ay minsan nasa gitna. So, kung gagamitin naman natin example natin kanina, wherein we have here our ethyl or our diethyl ketone. Okay? So, as you may notice here, kapag bibilangin natin yung nasa parent chain, we have here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So, that will be a pentane. Kasi 5 siya. And sabi niya, we just need to drop the E. So, that will be all. Okay? And we just need to locate the position of our ketone here. So, meron tayong 1, 2, 3. Pwede siyang 3. 1, 2, 3. Pwede rin siyang 3. So, we have here 3 pentanol. So, that is our the naming or the basic for the naming of ketones. And as you may have encountered in this class, laging merong mas complex na mga bagay-bagay. And in that complex na bagay-bagay, we have here some examples wherein we have here cyclic ketones. For cyclic ketones, by cyclic, ibig sabihin, yung ating carbonyl group, it is attached to the cyclic analog itself. So, halimbawa, meron kang ganito. Nandito yung ketone mo. Okay? So, they are named cycloalkanones. Ibig sabihin, kung ito ay cyclohexene, so that will be a cyclohexanone. Okay? And then, position 1 is assigned to the carbonyl atom. And the numbering such that the substituents have the lowest possible number. So, halimbawa, meron ka ritong chlorine. Sorry, paborito ko talaga yung chlorine. Bakit? Because, again, we will be using this ranking system, and by substituents, the following functional groups have lower priorities than our ketone group. We have here our alcohol, our alkoxide, or yung ating mga oxo, and we have here our chlorine. And in here, sabi rin sa unang rule na sinabi, we will have here the position 1 in our carbonyl atom. So this will be 1. And we need to give the lowest possible position number for our chlorine. So kapag dito tayo dumaan, that will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Not like dun sa kabilang side wherein magkakaroon tayo dito ng 1, 2, and this will be position 3. Okay? So in here, we will have here 3 chloro, and we have here 3 chloro cyclohexanone. So, magtataka kayo, sir, bakit hindi mo ibinigay or inilagay yung 1 dun sa carbonyl group? Bakit hindi natin ninumberan? Kasi by the rule it states, laging nasa position 1 yung ating carbonyl carbon atom. So, hindi na natin kailangan lagyan pa ng 1 yung position yan. So, we have there our 3-chlorocyclohexanone. Okay? And just like our aldehydes, we may have cases in which we have a carbon-to-carbon double bond or triple bond. So we just need to name the chain using the alkene or the alkyne and drop the E ending and replace it with the suffix ONE. Okay? So basically, if you have this compound wherein we have 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3. Ito na lang. 5. Then you have here your carbonyl group. Then you have here this uh, this double bond. So, ganun. Ang mangyayari dito ay gagamitin pa rin natin yung yung parang ginawa natin sa aldehyde kanina. Pero ang kaibahan lang class when talking about this double bonded or triple bonded na mga na ketones, we may encounter na hindi natin pwedeng ilagay yung position number like nung sa ginawa natin kanina sa aldehyde. So, kung papansinin nyo kasi, kung gagawin natin yung kanina ron sa sa aldehyde, this will be lowest possible position on our carbonyl. So that will be 2 because this is 1, 3. So we will have here 3 uh, pentanone. Pero hindi natin nasabi yung position ng ating carbonyl atom. So, paano mangyayari dyan? So, sabi nga natin, meron tayo dyang pentene. At yung pentene natin ay nasa 3. Pero meron din tayong ketone or yung ating 1. At yung 1 natin, nasan yung 1? Nasa 2. So, hindi natin pwedeng basta ilagay lang yung tunay ang kung saan. So, paano yung magiging system nito? So, for this scenario, we will have here 3 pente, penten, then you just need to write 2, then ONE. Just like how we named some of our alcohols, pwede nating ilagay yung position number ng alcohol natin dun sa before nung OL. So, same scenario for this one. So, pagsamasamahin natin, paano kung meron kang ibang substituents? Paano kung cyclic? Paano kung meron kang double bond or triple bond? So, by triple bond na cyclic, alam natin na ang pinaka maliit na cyclic analog na may triple bond ay yung ating cyclooctane. So, pagpasensyahan nyo na, di nagdikit-dikit. Say, dun sa cyclooctane mo, meron kang uh, carbonyl group dito. Tapos, meron kang bromine. Tapos, meron kang, say, meron ka rito methyl or yung ating CH3. So, paano natin to papangalanan? So, by taking precedence, okay, ang kailangan natin i-consider dito class ay mas mataas yung ranking ng ating BR kaysa sa triple bond. So, magiging priority natin to. So, basically, kapag papangalanan natin tong compound na to, what will happen here is this will be our position 1, 2, 3, 4, and we have here our 5. So, isulat lang natin yung mga bagay-bagay. So, we have 5 cyclooctane. Okay? We have 1 dun sa ating ONE. We have position 3 for our bromo or bromine. And we have position 4 for our methyl. So, paano yung pagpapangalan nito? So, ganun pa rin. Para dun sa mga substituents natin, since ang substituents natin ay itong dalawa lang, yung bromo at methyl, and since we will be using alphabetical order, mauuna yung B bago yung M. So, we will have here 3 bromo for the bromine dash 4 methyl. Then we have 5 cyclooctane. Tapos yung E, palitan lang natin ng ON. Octainone. Okay, so we have there 3 bromo 4 methyl 5 cyclooctanone. So mukhang may nagtataka na naman sa inyo. Sir, bakit hindi mo ngayon ginamit yung position 1 or hindi mo nilagyan ng 1 ONE dun sa dulo? So basically, since sabi nga natin kanina, kapag cyclic analog yung ginagamit natin at yung cyclic analog natin ay meron tayong carbonyl compound, hindi na natin kailangang i-mention yung pangalan ng carbonyl compound as long as yung carbonyl compound natin ay magte-take precedence dun sa lahat ng ibang functional group. And by magte-take ng precedence, mas priority natin ang ating carbonyl compound kesa rin sa ating bromine, kesa rin sa ating methyl, at kesa rin sa ating triple bond. So basically, yan na po yung mangyayari. Hindi na natin kailangang i-mention yun. So, that will be the nomenclature of ketones. And in that, I will be ending this video here, wherein we have already discussed the general structure of our ketones and aldehydes or our carbonyl group. We already talked about the general formula. We already talked about the nomenclature of each of the carbonyl compounds, classes, our aldehydes, and our ketones. So in that, I will be ending the video here. Thank you and have a great day. Bye.